Everybody, and welcome to your first lesson, your little mini lecture. We're talking about whole numbers and integers. So, how to read whole numbers, write whole numbers, round whole numbers, and then read and round. So, place value in the number system. Most people understand the decimal number system, but there are 10 symbols called digits, 0 through 9. And then they all have a place value system. Okay, so you can just read the definition there. How to read whole numbers, beginning with the ones place, right? So the digits are grouped with 3 digits in one group. The digits are grouped by 3. Okay, so we go hundreds, then we go 100,000, and then we go a million. Okay, so each group is called a period, and each group is separated. Those periods are separated by commas. Okay, so every period has a ones place, tens place, and hundreds place. Okay. And then understanding the place value, identifying the period name of the leftmost group. So I kind of said that already. All right. So read the 3-digit number from left to right. Okay. So this would be 4,693,107. This would be 34,892. So even though there's zeros there, they still have a place value. And then the period name will be read by each comma. And I said that earlier. Okay. So 1,000, not 1,000. Hundreds is not a period name. And do not say the word and. We're reading whole numbers. Writing whole numbers. Begin recording digits from left to right. Insert a comma. So every 3, there will be a comma. Okay. And then you have 8,903,422. Okay. And that's how you write it down below. Rounding. Rounding can be a little bit tricky. So just be careful. Okay. So look at the digit immediately to the right. Okay. Is it 5 or higher? Round up. Is it 4 or lower? Keep it the same. All digits to the right of the specified place become 0. Example. So here we're rounding to the nearest hundred. So we need to look at the 8. This is what I do. I look at the 8, the 5, and the 0. Okay. So because I'm looking at the 8, is it 5 or higher? Yes. So I go to 4,900. For the 5 here, I go down because the 2 is not 5 or higher. For the 5, 6, 7 part here, it's higher. So I go to 600. And then the 0 spot is in the 100 spot. So you see 7 here. So you go to the next, which is 100. In the business world, we sometimes want to express numbers that are smaller than 0. These are referred as negative numbers. Okay, I'll let you read the rest of that. All right, so the word negative or minus to read numbers less than 0. The rules are the same for rounding numbers. So read the number. Okay, so just read that. You can pause this video and read that. Round the previous example to the nearest trillion. Okay, so the trillion's digit is 8. All right, the digit to the right is 9 when you look at 8. And then because it's 9, it's bigger than 5, so we go to 30. All right, then with negative 9 trillion. All right, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers. So the add-ins are the numbers being added. The sum or total is the result of addition. Add whole numbers, write the numbers in a vertical column like you learned when you were in K through 8. Okay, repeat the operation to the hundreds column if necessary. So here's a pretty big one. So 1, 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then I'm going to add up all these numbers. So this would be 10 plus 18, which is 28. That's why we carry 2, and so on. Okay, you can pause this video to practice. Estimate to find a reasonable approximation for a calculation. Using estimation as a quick tool when an exact number is required. Round whole numbers to the place desired for an estimate. So sales for last week's concession stand. So we're going to round. It says, what was the week's total to the nearest 100? So we need to make sure that we look at all these numbers in the 100 spot. So we just need to the right of them. Pause the video and write if you like. And then subtracting whole numbers. Okay. So when subtracting whole numbers, the order of the numbers are important. So be careful. Okay. Subtraction here, 9 minus 4 does not equal 4 minus 9. Okay. Grouping in subtraction is important. So we group 8 and 3, then that means we need to do 8 and 3 first. So 8 minus 3 first. But if 3 and 1 is grouped first, we subtract 3 and 1 first. So just be very careful. Diminuend, the beginning amount or number from which a second number is being subtracted. The subtrahend, the number being subtracted, the answer or result, the difference, the number or result of subtracting, and then borrowing. As you probably learned page 312. So here's an example, so you can pause the video if you would like to write it down. Remember, these items are also in your book. Rounding and subtraction. So subtract 128 from 1345 by rounding each number to the nearest 100 first. So we're going to look at the 100 spot. The 128 becomes 100, 1345 becomes 1300, and then the estimated difference would be 1200. To add two negative integers, add the numbers without regard to the sign. So what does that mean? That means that pretend like both numbers don't have negatives. Add them together and then include the negative. Now, the way I think about it is you're always adding in anything you do. Through algebra, you're always adding. So if you think I'm going to be more negative, the number's going to get bigger, but it's still going to remain negative. Just be careful because that rule is not the same for multiplication and division. So I'll just let you know that. Jeremy has a bank balance of $47 and writes a check for $89. So if you only have $47 and then you write a check for $89, you're going to end up with a negative balance. Make sense? Now, multiplying integers, just the same way as you learned how to multiply it a long time ago, that's what you do. And it is commutative. That just means that if I write them in a different order, they're still going to give me the same result. Now, these key terms, multiplicand, the number being multiplied, the multiplier, the number multiplied by, and each number involved in multiplication. So the product is also multiplication, partial product, one digit of the multiplier, and the entire multiplicand. And then remember, when you multiply two numbers that have more than just the one digit, you have to stack them the way that it is. And then you have to remember that right here is where we usually write the 0. And then the result is the product. All right. So examples to try without a calculator. You can do those by hand yourself. Multiplying integers. So the way that I remember this is that when you have two numbers that have different signs, you're going to get a negative. Okay. When you have two numbers that have the same sign, so both of these are negative right here. So negative 16 times negative 3 is going to result in a positive number. So you can read this whole slide yourself. Dividing, same exact rule. Okay. So you can read this slide and you can work this out yourself. Key term, dividend, the number being divided by, or the number being divided or the total quantity. Divisor, the number that the dividend is divided by. The quotient is the answer or result of the division in the whole number part of the quotient without regard to its remainder. The remainder of a quotient, a number that is smaller than the divisor that remains after division is complete. Partial dividend, the part of the dividend that is being considered at a given step in the process, and the quotient of the partial dividend and the divisor. Luckily, most of the time when you're doing you're not necessarily concerned with all the small parts. You just are really concentrating on the result. So how to remainders. So you can do this division by hand. You can do it the same old-fashioned way that you learned. So 3 divided into 152. Sorry, I am writing with my finger. So this would be 5, right? Multiply 15. Subtract, right? And then I'm going to need to stop because I cannot divide into 2. The remainder is 2. Okay? And then there's another example. And then examples to try without a calculator. You will have access to this in the course, so you don't have to even pause the video. You can go through it yourself. And the example, you can use the examples in your book. So, all right, applying the standard order of operations to a series of operations. Perform all operations that are inside clipping symbols, such as parentheses. There are more than just parentheses, but perform all multiplications and divisions as they appear from left to right. Be careful about that. The same thing goes for addition. So examples to try, right? We want to do parentheses first, and then we do 15 minus what's in the parentheses. That's how we get 4. You can pause the video and try.